The White House today gave its first on-camera press briefing in a week. For the past several days, instead, they have held off-camera and audio-only news conferences, and there's really no good explanation why. Today, Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders took to the podium and immediately started slamming the press.
We have gone to a place where if the media can't be trusted to report the news, then that's a dangerous place for America. And I think if that is the place that certain outlets are going, particularly for the purpose of spiking ratings, and if that's coming directly from the top, I think that's even more scary and certainly more disgraceful. And I hope that that's not the direction we're headed. I hope that outlets that have continued to use either unnamed sources, sometimes stories with no sources at all. We've been going on this Russia-Trump hoax for the better part of a year now with no evidence of anything.
Now, earlier today, her boss, the president, tweeted about a CNN story that was on its website, not on TV, not on the air, and that story turned out to be wrong. CNN retracted it, apologized for it, and 3 people left over that story. But the president still piled on with, what else, a tweet this morning. So they caught fake news CNN cold, but what about NBC, CBS, and ABC? What about the failing New York Times and Washington Post? They are all, let's all say it together. No, don't. Fake news. So there's 2 questions here. Let me start with the press conferences. And Dominic, I'm always afraid when this topic comes up that it's just going to sound like reporters just whining about not getting access and not getting their moment in the sun. And there is a little bit of truth to that, but I mean, what do we lose out on if we lose these press conferences?
Well, it's not really we, it's the American people, okay? We're there holding officials accountable, whether they're a Democrat, a Republican, or independent, whatever they may be, on behalf of the American people. So when you shut us out, and notice they never talk about, no, I'm not dealing with Trump right now, they never talk about their media policies until they're elected in terms of what they're going to do. In fairness to Trump, this has been building, and what he's doing with the media is despicable, but this has been building, in my recent memory, going back to Giuliani. Reward good reporters. We know how good is defined. You point to all the positive stories about the elected official, and you don't do so that would be good news, and the fake news would be anything that's negative. That's what's so horrible about all this. So Giuliani, from my personal experience, had a situation where, you know, okay, if you're not going to say either you drink the Kool-Aid or you're against me. It's as simple as that. And so this has been building. Obama did some of it as well, in terms of every official. This has been building, but Trump has taken it to a complete extreme where, I mean, for lack of a better term, wah, you won't cover it the way I want. You won't say how great I am, so I'm going to shut you down completely.
To be fair on Obama, I know he refused to do an interview with Fox News for like a year and a half, but it's not like they were banned from the press room or that they weren't doing press conferences or daily press conferences.
I'm referring to how Obama went after leakers and some freedom of information requests.
But he did
That's
call
what I'm talking
Fox
about.
Not a real cable news station, so I mean. You know.
Okay, all right.
I think every president.
But they still had press availabilities with Fox there.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We're not talking about just talking badly. We'll get to that in a second.
This has Bannon's fingerprints all over it. They've obviously made a determination based on data and other type of research they've done internally to decide this is the narrative, this is what we need to do, and this is red meat for our voters, for our people, those with our perspective, and like those are the only ones we care about. Those are the only ones we want to go to. The other folks, we're never going to win. We're never going to get. Therefore, who cares? You know, that's why they're doing this. That's why Huckabee Sanders said what she said. You know?
The only people really complaining about access is the media. The public is not complaining that we don't see enough on-camera briefings from Sean Spicer or Huckabee. No, the press is still the news is still getting out. People read, watch TV, still being reported on. Look at this now. So whether you have 7 days a week you have on-camera briefings or not, the news is still getting out. So it's not a big issue.
But the other issue is whenever anybody had anything negative or anything contrary to say, I mean, he came into office, he loved Jim Comey. Now he hates Jim Comey and called him incompetent and needed to fire him. Whenever anybody did anything to test him, to try him, to get closer to the truth or whatever, they've done whatever they possibly could to get them out of the light, get him away so that it wasn't dealt.
Towards that point, how many times have we seen so far from this president? He says something or he tweets something, and everybody goes, yeah. I mean, maybe it was the thing where I hope Comey doesn't. I hope I don't have tapes. Comey better hope I don't have any tapes. America went, I have no idea what that means. So you have a press availability, so you can ask the press secretary, what does the president mean by that? Now, with this administration, we're also getting a lot of, well, I think the president's tweets were very clear, which is not really answering the question at all.
And I think the goal is that, as Sean Spicer said, look, the president speaks for the president. You have to go directly to the president and ask him if he didn't talk to him about the particular subject. So if the president says, this is what I'm tweeting, this is what, there's no further explanation.
Yes, but there needs to be if people don't understand what he's saying or what he means by that, or if they have questions about it. I mean, 140 characters. Yeah, there absolutely needs to be.
It's not like
he's the president of the United States. He's setting policy for the country. Right. If in 140 characters he leaves people with a question mark in their heads,
I agree.
People need answers
on certain issues. If we're dealing with something like policy, that's something that affects foreign policy or domestic policy. But Comey better hope I don't have tapes. It's not really a major policy issue.
Just imagine 2 points I want to make. Just imagine President Hillary Clinton and her press secretary took the same exact approach. There would be a mutiny in this country from the right in terms of demand. I don't even think Hillary Clinton would try it. But the point I want to make, I'm a little disappointed in some of my colleagues in Washington. I come from the school of Gabe Pressman, David Seifman, Marsha Kramer. And so with Giuliani, for example, I know this is City Hall and that's the White House. But let's say if there was a very controversial topic, for example, a police killing. Mm-hmm. And so me and Rudy would go at it publicly, right? To my colleagues' credits, right? Every politician, notice that Sean Spicer tries to do this. He will not take a question from CNN. No matter what the CNN reporter shouts, he just acts like he doesn't hear it. To my colleagues' credit at City Hall, they would go, we're sitting on our hand. We're not asking a single question until you answer Dominic's question. Now that's important because what's happening now is reporters are trying to ask legitimate, tough questions, and in the nature of being competitive, our colleagues in the fourth estate are letting the president and his people ignore the legitimate question just so they can ask their question.
Did you have the same political differences in that City Hall press corps that you have in the White House press corps today? Were there conservative outlets and media and liberal outlets?
Well, it was almost identical in terms of Rudy being far right, coming in, transforming welfare, which was a good thing. But at the time, it was highly controversial, taking on the homeless issue. And Rudy's premise was my way or the highway. So it was like Trump all over again.
Bring it locally with Bill de Blasio. I mean, Bill, you talk about the liberal media. Bill de Blasio was getting his rear end kicked in by the media early on. One of the reasons why is because he wasn't treating them right, and so that's the way they did it.
I'm just saying, if the White House press corps all decided to sit on their hands, you'd still have, Breitbart, you'd still have the conservative outlets, Fox News and all of its, that still ask the questions because they want to play ball with the White House.
They're not asking questions, they're being cheerleaders. That's what they're doing. And that's what's horrible. Right, it's literally, ooh. There were times, I know we're out of time, there were times, I'm not going to say which mayor, they literally would try to plant questions with reporters. Do me a favor, ask me about this. Seriously. And as a rule of thumb, you never tell the press secretary what you're going to ask, and you never give in to something like that. What we're seeing now from some in the Washington press corps, they're going, Mr. Trump, here, hit it over the wall. And that's exactly what's happening.
Which mayor?
Giuliani folks.
Up next.
All of them, to be honest with you. All of them.
See,
psychological warfare from all of them.
See that? That was the value
from
of
all of them.
Value of follow-up questioning.
Yes.
Up next, more transit troubles today. A derailment on the A train causes delays and injuries. We're going to ask former MTA chairman Richard Ravitch how he'd deal with all the transit troubles if he was still in charge.